Welcome to our Devos. This week we're talking about how to have a calm heart in a troubled mind. Troubled times, I should say. Calm hearts and troubled times. So we're in troubled times. We're in times of uncertainty. We're in times of political unrest, international unrest. America is in a weird place. And this is the time of year when America turns into, the time every 4 years, when America turns into an extended cut of a Jerry Springer episode. Rest in peace, Jerry Springer. We now come to this time in the season of ultimate anxiety. And I will say, I haven't been, in 2020, everything was so uprooted because of the pandemic. And the pandemic made me feel anxious because we didn't know what that was happening at the beginning and we didn't know what was going on. And then after a while, we started to really get our resolve back. But this is a time where I genuinely feel unsettled. I've been talking to other church leaders and there's a genuine unsettled feeling, this anxious feeling. So what do you do when you have that feeling? What do you do when this world seems to be spiraling as if it's going in the wrong direction, but you still are not permitted to exit the world? Well, keep this in mind. Look to the sovereignty of God's kingdom when faced with the chaos of democracy. Look to the sovereignty of God's kingdom when you're faced with the chaos of democracy. When we're dealing with this America that we're living in, there is no guarantee, and I hate to be the one to say this to you or break it to you, but there's absolutely no guarantee, as you look in the scriptures, that America is promised anything. I love being a part of this country. I'm blessed that I'm a part of America. I think it's the greatest place to live, I do, but this is what I do know. America is not the kingdom of God. America is not the kingdom of God. You might want to write that down. Some of us that are extra patriotic. I came from a very patriotic home. My mom was extremely patriotic. My father was extremely patriotic. They loved the country. They talked about history. And that was one thing that was kind of ingrained in me even as a child. But one thing that a super overloaded amount of patriotism will do for you is it will sometimes cause you to go into extreme amounts of despair and anxiety whenever America doesn't behave the way you think it should. And the reason why I would dare say this is that because you are unconsciously conflating this United States with the kingdom of God. And those two things are not necessarily the same. We have to be aware that the kingdom is what's unshakable. The kingdom is a kingdom that's not made by human and earthly hands. The kingdom is the kingdom that we are a part of, and it's God's kingdom. And it's a kingdom that right now we have established in heaven, but will be established on earth, but we're not there yet. This is not God's kingdom. We are heading towards the kingdom. We are moving towards the kingdom. But right now we have to live on this present world. Jesus says in Matthew chapter 6, verse 33, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things, all these earthly things shall be added to you. It's God's kingdom where you begin. It's God's kingdom where you say, okay, this is where my peace rests. This is where I will stay. This is where I'm going to focus, because when we focus so much on everything around us, it's easy for our hearts to fall into the same chaos that is being mirrored in the world that we're living in.